And welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphries. This has been the toughest quiz on television since it started back in 1972. And this year's competition promises to be just as tough as ever. Everyone wants to be a mastermind. Tonight, the first 4 contenders will pit their wits against each other, each believing that they have what it takes to make it all the way to the grand final. Each contender will get 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject, which tonight are a series of graphic novels, a 14th century mercenary, a television drama that lifted the lid on the White House, and a reggae superstar. They will then face another 2.5 minutes of general knowledge questions. Who will take that first step towards the title? Let's find out and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Jo Skinner.
Your occupation?
Medical secretary.
And your chosen subject?
The West Wing.
The West Wing, the television drama that captured the way American politics at the very top works. 2 minutes, starting now. When President Bartlett is unwell with flu before the State of the Union address, the First Lady tells Leo McGarry that he's been diagnosed with a disease that he's kept secret. What disease?
Multiple sclerosis.
Yes, a bipartisan bill to generate $18 million to clean up a body of water is lost when taxation provisions are added to it. Which body of water?
Oh, pass.
In which Central Asian republic does a potential conflict between China and Russia arise over oil supply during the later stages of Bartlett's presidency?
Kazakhstan.
Yes. Who plays the Californian Senator Arnold Vinnick, who emerges as the Republican candidate in the election to succeed Bartlett?
Alan Alda.
Yes. What is the title of the apologetic memoir that John Hawkwood publishes shortly before he announces that he is going to run for president?
Full disclosure.
Yep. Bingo Bob Russell is made vice president after John Hawkwood resigns because of a sex scandal. Russell is a congressman from which state?
Colorado.
Yep. What's the name of the hotline that President Bartlett rings using the pseudonym Joe Bethasontin to ask for cookery advice during preparations for Thanksgiving?
The Butterball hotline.
Yes. Which former president's funeral is attended by President Bartlett and the former presidents Walken and Newman in the Series 5 episode The Stormy Present?
Lassiter.
Yes. Who plays 84-year-old Chief Justice Roy Ashland? He becomes very ill but tells President Bartlett that he is not ready to stand down.
Pass.
What 4 words does President Bartlett write down and give to Vice President Hawkwood to explain why he wants him to stay in the post?
Because I could die.
Yes. What new national park in Montana does President Bartlett create to protect the state from strip mining?
Big Sky.
Yes. Who plays the poet laureate Tabitha Fortis, who is reluctant to attend a White House dinner in her honour because America has failed to sign a treaty banning landmines?
Oh, pass.
As part of his duties on the White House's Big Block of Cheese Open Day, Sam Seaborn has to meet a group with what special interest?
UFOs.
Yep. The newly appointed White House Associate Counsel, Ainsley Hayes, is sent to the Hill to confront 2 staffers about their false testimony regarding a memo. What's the memo called?
Rockland.
The Rockland Memo. Absolutely right. You had 3 passes, Joe. Laura Dern played the poet laureate, Tabitha Fortis. Milo O'Shea played 84-year-old Chief Justice Roy Ashland, and that body of water was the Chesapeake Bay. Oh, yes. Those 3 passes, Joe, you have scored 11 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Roy Smith.
Your occupation?
Currently unemployed.
And your chosen subject?
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, the Jamaican singer who made reggae an international phenomenon. Here we go, 2 minutes. What is the title of the single from the album called Live that gave Bob Marley his first entry in the UK Top 40 Singles Chart in 1975?
No Woman, No Cry.
Yep. In which city was Marley based for a time in 1972 while he toured with the American pop and soul singer Johnny Nash, who had recorded some of Marley's songs?
Amsterdam.
London. What was the name of Marley's concert in 1978 when he brought the Jamaican Prime Minister Michael Manley and the opposition leader Edward Seager together on stage?
One Love.
Yes. Which member of the Jamaican female singing group the I-Threes married him in 1966?
Rita.
Alfarita, yeah. In 1973, Marley and the Wailers left an American tour with Sly and the Family Stone prematurely after how many concerts? According to some reports, it's because they were overshadowing the headliners.
2.
4. Marley's song One Love incorporates parts of another song that was originally written by Curtis Mayfield. Which song was that?
People Get Ready.
Yes. Who's given the sole songwriting credits for No Woman, No Cry, although it's often assumed that Marley at least contributed to its writing?
Vincent Ford.
Yes. Which American singer and songwriter played the piano on I Shot the Sheriff when the Wailers performed a concert with him in Jamaica in 1975?
Stevie Wonder.
Yes. What honour was he awarded in 1981 by the Jamaican government? It was the third highest honour in the country.
Order of Merit.
Yes. Marley was baptised into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and given the baptismal name Berhane Selassie. What is the meaning of this name?
Pass.
The first 20,000 copies of an album were released in a sleeve that opened like a cigarette lighter. Which album?
Catch a Fire.
Yeah. What was the name of the American guitarist who backed Marley on stage and in the studio at intervals between the 1974 sessions for the album Natty Dread and Marley's final tour in 1980?
Al Anderson.
Yep. In which Pennsylvania city did Marley's last tour, called Uprising, end in September 1980?
Pittsburgh.
Yep. Marley died in 81. Which album of previously unreleased material, including the hit single Buffalo Soldier, was released 2 years after his death?
Confrontation.
Yes. The 1984 Greatest Hits album, Legend, became the highest-selling reggae album of all time. The first track, on side 1, was taken from his 1978 album, Kaya. What was it?
Is This Love?
That was it. You had just the one pass. That baptismal name that he was given, Berhane Selassie, means light of the Holy Trinity. You've scored, Roy, 12 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Evelyn McMenamin,
Your occupation?
Seasonal Helpline Officer.
And your chosen subject?
The Sandman novels of Neil Gaiman.
The fantasy graphic novels first published in 1993. 2 minutes, starting now. What's the name of the nightclub owned by Lucifer? Lita Hall meets Eric Needham there in The Kindly Ones.
Oof. Pass.
In the last chapter of The Wake, Morpheus visits William Shakespeare to ask about the progress of the final play he'd requested. Which play?
The Tempest.
Yes, Brief Lives tells the story of Dream and Delirium search for their brother Destruction. When they find him, he's living with a talking dog that he gives to Delirium to look after. What's the dog called?
Barnabas.
Yes, when Rose Walker travels to Fawney Rig, she meets her grandfather, Desire, who leaves her a cigarette lighter. What shape is it?
A heart.
Yep. When Lucifer shuts the gates to hell and the dead come back to Earth in Season of Mists, deceased ex-students start to return to their boarding school. What's the name of the school?
St. Hilarions.
Yes. Where does the writer Erasmus Fry find and capture the Muse Calliope in spring 1927 in Dream Country?
Mount Helicon.
Yep. To regain his strength, Morpheus needs to find the 3 lost artefacts stolen from him when he was captured. What's the last of the artefacts he recovers?
His helm.
A ruby. What is the name of the young werewolf who leaves his home in search of the Duke's youngest daughter in the short story The Hunt?
Vladimir.
Vasily. Dream returns to hell intending to free Nada, a human woman he once loved and then condemned to hell. Whom does Dream send to Lucifer with a message explaining his intentions before he sets out?
Lucian.
Cain. What is the name of Desire's fortress home?
The Threshold.
Yes. Lita Hall is the daughter of a Greek-born former superheroine. What was her mother's name?
Le Fury.
Yes. Soft Places tells the story of how Marco Polo finds himself lost in a desert where he bumps into a man who claims to be Marco's cellmate from the future. What is the name of the desert they're lost in?
The Desert of Lop.
Yes, when Dream decides to grant the key to hell to the angels Duma and Ramil, one of the demon delegates challenges Dream, leading Dream to imprison him in a jar. What is the name of the demon?
Azazel.
Yes, what is the name of the old lady who's killed in a storm and saves Barbie by falling on her as she dies? They'd met previously on the New York subway.
Mad Hetty.
Maisie Hill. When Roderick Burgess tries to summon and imprison death, the spell to complete the ritual is in which book?
The Magdalene Grimoire.
Yes. There was one pass, and that is the name of the nightclub was Lux. One pass, Evelyn, you have scored 10 points. And our final contender now, please. And your name is?
Derek Caldwell.
Your occupation?
Indexer.
And your chosen subject?
John Hawkwood.
The 14th century English mercenary in 2 minutes. At which significant English victory over France in 1356 is Hawkwood said to have earned his spurs as a knight?
Poitiers.
Yes. What was the name of the ruling family of Milan that played a major role in both his career and his personal life?
Visconti.
Yep. Which fortified town near Florence did Hawkwood and the White Company seize and occupy in the autumn of 1363? The action provoked a military response from Florence that led to a clash at Incisa.
Filina.
Yes, only one image of Hawkwood made during his lifetime is thought to survive. It's a thumbnail cartoon in whose Chronicles of Lucca?
Froissart.
Sercambi. Which Cologne mercenary led the White Company at the start of the attack on Florence in 1364 before he and others defected to Florence? This left Hawkwood as the only captain in the service of Pisa.
Sturz.
Yes, in 1375, Catherine of Siena wrote to Hawkwood to urge him to cease fighting in Italy, to stop fighting Christians and to go on what?
Crusade.
Yeah. Which poet and diplomat was sent with Edward de Berkeley from England to Milan in 1378 to carry greetings to Bernardo Visconti and Hawkwood?
Chaucer.
Yes. Hawkwood is thought to have been in the bodyguard of Lionel, Duke of Clarence, during his wedding at which Milan cathedral?
Milan.
Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore. Which ambitious merchant took power in Pisa in 1364 with Hawkwood's help and assumed the title of Doge for life?
Agnello.
Yes. Which Romagna town was the scene of a notorious massacre in which the townspeople were slaughtered by Hawkwood's mercenaries in 1377 on the orders of Robert of Geneva?
Cesena.
Yes. Who led the French forces in support of Queen Joanna and the Avignon papacy when he was forced to retreat by Hawkwood's pro-Rome forces at Naples in November 1382?
Louis Vengeux.
Yes. With which city republic did he force a condotta, or contract, worth 130,000 florins in 1375?
Florence.
Yes. What was the name of Hawkwood's daughter, born to his first wife, who married William Coggeshall?
Antiocha.
Yep. In what town, not far north of Florence, was the Hawkwood family home of San Donato a Torre, which became his in 1381?
Polverosa.
Is correct. No passes, Derek. You have 12 points. Now it is time to invite all our contenders together back into the studio. And now, of course, it is the general knowledge round. 2.5 minutes of questions, and if there's a tie at the end of it, the person with the fewer passes will be the winner, and if they're tied on passes as well, there will be a tie break. Now, because they haven't seen each other's specialist subject rounds, the contenders only know what they have scored themselves. So, for everyone at home, let's have a look at all the scores. And as always, we start with the contender with the lowest score, and she is Evelyn. And tell everybody that you have scored, so far, 10 points. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. Here we go. What term for the sheep owned by a farmer can also refer to the church congregation of a particular minister?
Tithe.
Flock. Which political party held on to the seat of Brighton Pavilion at the 2017 general election?
Green Party.
Yes, in 2015, which band had their 7th #1 album with a head full of dreams?
Pass.
What early blooming spring flower is also known as the Fair Maid of February?
Daffodil.
Snowdrop. Which Mediterranean island country is the smallest member of the European Union by both size and population?
Cyprus.
Malta. What is the common name of the components of the blood medically known as leukocytes?
Glucose.
White blood cells. In which Caribbean country was Christmas banned for nearly 30 years? It was reinstated in 1997 to celebrate a visit by the Pope and has continued as an annual celebration ever since.
Haiti.
Cuba. In Greek mythology, Theseus slew a monster with the body of a man and the head of a bull. Which monster?
The Minotaur.
Yep. Which novelist gave the hero of his novel Kidnapped the surname Balfour, which was his own mother's maiden name?
Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yes. What name is shared by the bushy-haired, overweight detective played by George Savalas in the 1970s television series Kojak and the Greek kebab house owner created by Harry Enfield?
Pass.
In 1987, which golfer became the first British woman to win the United States Open?
Marianne Smith.
Laura Davis. What word for a chamber for the storage of grain has also been used since the Cold War era for an underground bunker where guided missiles are kept?
Silo.
Yes. Which fairy tale brother and sister are the title characters of an 1893 opera by Engelbert Humperdinck?
Hansel and Gretel.
Yep. The peppery tasting leaves of which plant, whose name comes from the Latin for nose twister, are often added to salads. It's generally red or orange. Flowers are sometimes added for decoration.
Parsley.
Nasturtium. Which Shropshire town on the River Severn has a Victorian funicular railway that takes passengers from Low Town to High Town?
Shropshire.
No, I'll give it to you. Bridgenorth. For what film did the 11-year-old New Zealander Anna Paquin win the '93 Best Supporting Actress Oscar?
The Piano.
Yes. From which English port did John Cabot set sail in 1497 on his voyage of discovery to Newfoundland that he mistakenly thought to be China?
Southampton.
Bristol. The British soloist Alison Balsom is a renowned performer on what brass instrument?
Trombone.
Trumpet. What small rodent did the furniture designer Robert Thompson use as his signature?
A mouse.
Yep. Gladys Pearl Baker, a negative cut-up at Consolidated Film Industries, was the mother of a blonde film actress who became a huge star in the 1950s. Which actress?
Betty Davis.
Might have been, it was Marilyn Monroe. You have 2 passes. Stavros is the name of that overweight detective, played by George Savalas. And the band that had their 7th #1 album, With a Head Full of Dreams, was Coldplay. You have now a total of 17 points. Next into the chair is Joe. And you start this round with the 11 points you scored in the last one. Let's see how you do. Here we go. In 1983, The Colour of Magic was the first book published in the Discworld series of novels. Who wrote it?
Terry Pratchett.
Yep. 14 species of finch found on the Galapagos Islands are named after which British naturalist?
Darwin.
Yes. What is the name of the symbol that shows a product conforms to the standards of safety, reliability and quality set by the British Standards Institution?
Kite mark.
Yes. What word from the Greek for leaf is used for an extremely thin pastry that's often prepared by layering several sheets together with melted butter?
Philo.
Yes. Who won the 2006 BBC Sports Personality of the Year award 35 years after her mother won it?
Pass.
Celiac disease is an autoimmune condition that affects the absorption of food triggered by a protein found in wheat, barley and rye. What protein?
Gluten.
Yes. Duke, Abacab and Invisible Touch were chart-topping albums for a UK rock group in the 1980s. Which group?
Pass.
What name is shared by 9 Byzantine emperors, 2 kings of modern Greece and a 4th century Roman emperor known as the Great?
Constantine.
Yes, in May 2010, who became Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom's coalition government?
Nick Clegg.
Yes, what term for popular and often lurid novels in America comes from the cheaply produced paper that they were originally published on, forms the title of a Quentin Tarantino film?
Pulp Fiction.
Yes, in the Bible, who was so hated by his half-brothers, they sold him for 20 pieces of silver to Midianite merchants who then sold him into captivity in Egypt.
Oh, Joseph.
Yes. Kipling wrote the Ode Recessional for a royal celebration in 1897. What celebration?
The Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria.
Diamond Jubilee. Nicholson is the surname of a Singapore-born violinist known generally only by her first names. What are they?
Vanessa May.
Yes. Which capital city lies on the southern side of the Gulf of Finland, a 2-hour ferry ride from Helsinki on the opposite side of the Gulf?
Tallinn.
Yes. The name of what beetle-like insect, recognised as a worldwide pest, is derived from a Spanish word cucaracha?
Cockroach.
Yes. Who started out in films as both a performer and a screenwriter with What's New, Pussycat in 1965?
Pass.
What term for a device that plays selected gramophone records when money is inserted is thought to come from a Creole word for disorderly or bawdy?
Jukebox.
Yes. What is the name of the snobbish social climber played by Patricia Routledge in the television series Keeping Up Appearances?
Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yes. Which Scottish loch stretches from Fort Augustus in the south to Bono Narrows at its northern end?
Oh, Loch Ness.
Yes. Which member of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood of Artists was an accomplished poet too? His sister Christina was also an important writer.
Oh, Dante Rossetti.
Yes, indeed. You have 3 passes, Joe. Woody Allen.
Oh.
What's New, Pussycat? Yeah. Genesis, that was the group. And Zara Phillips and her mum.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, they did rather well at horse riding, one thing and the other. Joe, you have 27 points. And next into the chair, Roy, who has 12 points as we speak. And you've just heard, Roy, that the score that you now have to beat, with your general knowledge, is 27. So, here we go. What does GM stand for in reference to plant technology?
Global warming.
Genetically modified. Which public school that has provided Britain with 19 prime ministers was founded by Henry VI across the Thames from Windsor in 1440?
Eton.
Yep. Which of the Lake poets succeeded Robert Southey as poet laureate in 1843 and held the post until his death in 1850?
Wordsworth.
Yep. What is the wintry name of the daughter of Spring and Frost, who is the title character in an opera by Rimsky-Korsakov?
Pass.
Which former member of the Police had 2 UK #1 albums as a solo artist with Nothing Like the Sun in 1987 and The Soul Cages in 91?
Sting.
Yeah. Who wrote the children's novel A Bear Called Paddington, which was published in 1958?
Michael Bond.
Yep. The communist dictatorship of an East European country came to a bloody end on Christmas Day 1989. Which country?
Romania.
Yes, the great spotted, the lesser spotted, and the green are species of a bird resident in the United Kingdom that's noted for probing for insects in tree bark. What bird?
Woodpecker.
Yep. What military disaster of the 25th of October 1854 was led by James Brudenell, the 7th Earl of Cardigan?
Sergeant of the Light Brigade.
Yes. In Homer's Odyssey, Aeolus was named as the keeper or ruler of a natural phenomenon. What phenomenon?
Pass.
Which Yorkshire and England opening batsman did the Australian fast bowler Dennis Lillee describe as the only fellow I've ever met who fell in love with himself at a young age and has remained faithful ever since?
Jeff Boycott.
Yes. What name is given to a parallelogram where all 4 sides are of equal length but do not meet at right angles?
Rectangle.
Rhombus. Which future James Bond starred as Simon Templar in the television series The Saint, first shown in 1962?
Roger Moore.
Yeah. What French word, originally used for a chest of drawers, has come to mean a cabinet that contains a chamber pot?
Bureau.
A commode. What sweet variety of melon with a rough skin and orange flesh is thought to take its name from a former papal villa near Rome?
Cantaloupe.
Yep. Which 1990 film that stars Cher, Bob Hoskins and Winona Ryder features Cher's #1 hit single, the Shoop Shoop song, It's in His Kiss?
Mermaids.
Yeah, the Arts and Culture Centre, opened in the Beaubourg suburb of Paris in 1977, is named after a French president. What's his name?
Pompidou.
Yes. Which park that lies mainly in Wyoming became America's and the world's first national park in 1872?
Yellowstone.
Yes. Which American author wrote the novels Call of the Wild, The Sea Wolf and White Fang?
Jack London.
Jack London is correct. You had 2 passes. In Homer's Odyssey, the natural phenomenon was the winds. That's what he was keeper of. The wintry name of the daughter of Spring and Frost, the Snow Maiden. Roy, you have 26 points. Finally, Derek. Make another appearance, if you will. And you also start with 12 points, and the score to beat is still 27. So, let's see how you do. What are the Scots called the last day of the year, New Year's Eve?
Hogmanay.
Yep. In which country is the city of Gouda, where the semi-soft cow's milk cheese named after it was originally made?
Netherlands.
Yep. Who owns a mandolin that he calls Antonia in the 1994 novel by Louis de Bernière?
Corelli.
Yep. In which cathedral in eastern England were Catherine of Aragon and Mary Queen of Scots buried, although Mary's body was later moved to Westminster Abbey?
Peterborough.
Yes. Radu Lupu, Ricardo Castro and Anna Cibuleva are among the winners of the Triennial International Piano Competition of which Yorkshire city?
Leeds.
Yes. Who wrote the novel The Invisible Man, first published in 1897, about a scientist who stumbles across the secret of invisibility with dire consequences?
H.G. Wells.
Yes. Which capital city has an Arabic name that means elephant's trunk? It is said to describe the shape of the River Nile as it flows through it.
Cairo.
Khartoum. The name of an 18th century Venetian adventurer has become a byword for a great lover. What was his name?
Casanova.
Yes, a capital letter B with 2 short vertical lines above and below is the symbol for what cryptocurrency?
The Bitcoin.
Yes, the characters in a 1960s television puppet series include the silent Marina and Lieutenant George Phones Sheridan. Which series?
Stingray.
Yes. Which Commonwealth country is home to the largest number of wild camels? They were introduced as pack animals there in the 1840s.
Australia.
Yes. Which American jazz trumpeter had a #4 hit in the UK singles charts in 1964 with Hello Dolly?
Louis Armstrong.
Yep. What word of Italian origin is used, especially in Italian architecture, for a bell tower built either beside or attached to a church?
Campanile.
Yes. Io and Europa are the innermost of the Galilean moons of which planet?
Jupiter.
Yes. Whom did Rowan Williams succeed as Archbishop of Canterbury in 2002?
Pass.
Who is the title character of the 2018 animated film version of one of Beatrix Potter's classic stories? He's voiced by James Corden.
Pass.
What fungal disease that killed millions of trees in Britain during the 1970s and 80s is known by the initials DED?
Dutch elm disease.
Yes, the American industrialist John D. Rockefeller, who lived from 1839 to 37, made his fortune from what before he devoted his life to philanthropy?
Oil.
Yep. What Latin word meaning field is often used to describe the area around a college or university?
Campus.
Yes. Who finished first and broke the world record in the 100 metres final at the Seoul Olympics in 1988, but was later disqualified after he failed a drugs test?
Linford Christie.
No, it was Ben Johnson. 2 passes. Peter Rabbit was the title character in that animated film, and Rowan Williams succeeded George Carey. But it doesn't matter because you have now, Derek, 28 points and you have won. What a tight finish. Let's have a look at all the scores. In 4th place, 17 points, Evelyn. 3rd place, 26 points, Roy. 2nd place, 27 points, Joe. 1st place with 28 points, Derek, and he goes through to the semi-finals. So, congratulations to him. Commiserations to Joe, but with a score of 27, it's entirely possible that we shall see her again in the semi-finals. Now, if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us on Twitter @mastermindquiz. Do join us again next time for more Masterminds, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.